Hello and welcome back to our introduction and guide to supported decision making. My name is Jonathan Martinis. I am the Senior Director for Law and Policy at the Burton Blatt Institute of Syracuse University. In this session, we're going to continue our journey from supported decision making theory to practice to talk about specific ways we can use supported decision making in things like healthcare and life planning. So let's talk about it. If you are working with someone who is on Medicaid, or you yourself are on Medicaid, or you have a Medicaid waiver, you're probably familiar with the term person-centered planning. Person-centered planning is a requirement in Medicaid, and it talks about a planning process where in person-centered planning, the person receiving services is put at the middle of the plan. Everything should revolve around the person. Person-centered planning requires that the plan involve what is important to the person, what is important for the person. It involves the people the person wants to involve, and it talks to the person about what he or she wants to do and how he or she wants to get there. What does that sound like? That sounds like supported decision-making, doesn't it? The person works with the professionals to decide where he or she wants to go and the services needed to get there. And the person chooses, with the input of his or her team, the supports and services needed to reach his or her goals. Person-centered planning is just another way to engage in supported decision-making. I always say supported decision-making is a paradigm. It's not a process. It's an umbrella that so many things can fit under. We saw how the student-led IEP can fit under the supported decision-making umbrella. Well, so can person-centered planning. In fact, it should. Because if we are not doing person-centered planning by putting the person's interests first, by giving primary consideration to what the person wants to achieve, then we're not truly doing person-centered planning. If we don't do that, what we're doing is we are planning for the person rather than with the person. And that's really no different than doing something instead of the person. Person-centered planning and supported decision-making say we do things with the person. We give the person the support he or she needs to make his or her own decisions. That's what person-centered planning is supposed to do. And there's lots of ways to make that happen. Once again, I hear all the time that a person needs a guardian for protection or for guidance or to make sure the person doesn't make a bad decision. Well, there are ways to give a person guidance. There are ways to work with a person and give that person, quote-unquote, protection without taking away the person's rights. There's so many ways to do that and so many ways to implement and include supported decision-making in a person's life. Think about a power of attorney. We're all told we should have powers of attorney for when God forbid, or if God forbid something happens, I am incapacitated because of an accident. I can't make decisions for myself. I'm supposed to say, I want you to make decisions for me because you know me. You know the things that I am interested in, and you can help me by making the decisions I would make if I was able to make them. Well, that's great. But what about the situation where I'm not incapacitated? What about when I just need a little bit of help? Couldn't we include in a power of attorney language that says, if God forbid I am incapacitated, I want you to make decisions for me. But all other times, I want you to make decisions with me. And here's how we'll do it. I can lay out for financial decisions, I want this person to work with me in that way. For medical decisions, I want that person to work with me in that way. Or think about an advance directive, just for medical care. When an advance directive says, if God forbid I'm injured, you make my medical decisions. Well, what if we included language in an advance directive? What if we included language like that's up on your screen right now that says, when I'm incapacitated, my agent, you have full power to make decisions for me. But when I'm not incapacitated, your job, it's in the bold language, is to help me, to work with me, to make my own decisions, to give me the support I need and want to make my own decisions. This means your job is to support me and work with me and help me. Now imagine I've got this document, this advance directive that's got that language in it. If I take that to my doctor and I tell my doctor, this is what I want you to put in my file, and I give you permission to share my medical information with this person from my advance directive, look what we've just done. We've created a supported decision-making team. Me, you, and my doctor. And we work together, because what is supported decision-making other than the sharing of information? I've talked to doctors before, and they've said, we can't do this supported decision-making because it violates HIPAA. It violates confidentiality. We can't have the third person in the room because of privacy. I always say to the doctors the same thing. Every time I go to the doctor, every time, I have to sign a HIPAA release that says, doctor, it is okay for you to share my information with this person. My wife, my mother, my father, whoever. I give you permission. It's okay to share that. Well, again, I say, what is supported decision-making other than sharing information? So if I took the doctor's standard HIPAA language and I put little language in there, a little caret, a little hand wrote, I give you permission to share information with this person, handwriting, for the purpose of helping me make decisions. Look what we've done. We've created a supported decision-making agreement. We've given the doctor permission to share information to help me make decisions. And when I talk to the doctors, they all go, oh yeah, that does work. It can work. And you can put it in an agreement moving forward to designate someone in your life or in your loved one's life to not just be a substitute decision maker in the case of an emergency, but a supported decision maker in your day-to-day life. And that can work in so many places. Another thing I always hear is a person needs a guardian because of financial issues. A person needs someone to make financial decisions for him or her. Well, let me tell you a story. I worked with an 18-year-old who was very, very mature. He said, I don't think I'm ready to make all my own decisions. The mother was considering getting guardianship, and he said, you know what? I don't know that I'm ready at 18 years old to make all my own decisions. And side note, was anyone ready to make all their own decisions at 18? People in the audience, think about the photos that are probably of you out there at age 18 and ask yourself, was I ready to make all of my own decisions? But this young man knew it. And he said, I don't know that I'm ready. So we worked together, me, him, his mom, to create a supported decision-making agreement. This is some of the language in it that's up on your screen, where we said together that this young man has the right to spend $100. He could spend $100. No one say so. No one can stop him. Go spend money. Go do stupid things and learn what it is to manage your money. Anything over that, Mom had to sign off on. So if he wanted to buy a car for $20,000, Mom had to agree or not agree, and that would be the decision they'd make as a team. But here's the important part. Look at the bold language again. Before Mom made that decision, she couldn't just say no. She had to give primary consideration to his wishes. They had to at least have a conversation so that they could all talk together about why he wanted to do that thing and maybe why she thought it wasn't a good idea. So together, they could learn and he could grow and he could become a more responsible decision maker. And we did the same thing with banking. We said, you can withdraw or write a check for $100. Any more than that, Mom's got a cosign. And that's not a rare thing. If you think about businesses, they've constantly got checks that say over a certain amount requires 2 signatures. We just did that for a bank account for him. So that, once again, if he wanted to spend more than that, Mom had to sign off. But again, bold language. Mom had to have a conversation before she did that. She had to give primary consideration to his reasons for why he wanted to make that decision. And in that conversation, they could talk and be a team, and he could learn and he could grow. And that's why we included in that young man's supported decision-making agreement something called a growth clause. It's on your screen right now. The growth clause says that people change, that people might get better at decision-making as they practice more of it, or they might need more assistance. So what we said for this young 18-year-old was I think it was a year, it can be 6 months, it can be 2 years, we're going to look at this thing again. And we're going to see whether there need to be changes. Maybe he's gotten better with money and we can up that limit to $200 or $500 or remove that limit. Maybe he needs even more help and we got to knock it down to $50. But it allows us to adjust as people change. Now think about how important that can be for an older adult, somebody with a progressive disability. You're keeping that person involved in his or her life to the maximum of their abilities while not taking away their right to make choices. In the next session, we're going to talk about ways that guardianship itself can be used to increase self-determination, that guardianship doesn't have to be the end of the line for people. Hope you'll join us. Thank you so much.